Undergraduate students today are asking themselves, how are they going to visualize? How are they going to deal with the near future, like 3 years from now, 5 years from now? And that's a fair question. Asking themselves, is it going to be you and AI, or is it going to be you versus AI? And I said it's a fair question because if you look at the news today, it seems like it's almost every time there's AI topic happening. And it leads people to ask, do I still have a job tomorrow? If there are so many AI apps or agents out there that's going to take my job, and in trying to answer those questions, sometimes they feel like, oh my gosh, it's already game over. Even if before I started or even before I graduate, it's already game over. AI has entered the chat. Game over. And it doesn't, the news doesn't really help much to settle, all these fears. Look at the pop culture. You have Terminator and the rise of the machines, wherein humans develop AI and this AI wipes them all out, wipes us all out. And then in a little bit more hopeful scenario, you have the Matrix. The Matrix has a savior who comes up, gets born, and beats the machine. You know, so we have a savior in the Matrix, and in the story of Warhammer 40K, yes, they do have an AI there. The lore, the timeline says that, like, in a few thousand years from now, there will come a time that, yes, the AI will dominate humankind, enslave us all, but the humans will rise up, beat the AI machine, and ban AI forever in the entire history of humankind. So that's another take. But what I'm really hopeful for is the future that is painted by Star Trek. In the Star Trek's Federation, for example, AI exists, but it is largely confined to the task specific applications. For example, the AI ships have shipboard computers, they have replicators, and then even they have diagnostic systems that are very powerful, and yet none of them are sentient. The AI systems in the Star Trek universe, they mainly function as a data storage or retrieval tools rather than self-aware entities. Of course, the Federation does have examples of emergent and sentient intelligences, just like Command Lieutenant Commander Data. So that's a good thing. Now, going back to real life, however, we are using AI today and developing AI today to augment our skills because in the cybersecurity domain, humans are always fighting against the challenge of volume of data and complexity of the stuff that we need to understand. Therefore, we have AI powered phishing and malware detection. So in this application, this one example, you have AI that not only does pattern matching for malware code like scraping and stuff like that, comparing it to virus signatures, but we can have AI models that analyze the behavior of files and applications in a sandbox environment to identify suspicious actions and attempts to encrypt files or exfiltrate data. We call that in the industry as dynamic analysis of malware. Additionally, AI algorithms today can scrutinize the language, tone, and structure of emails to identify subtle clues of phishing attempts that might trick a human eye. Additionally, AI can analyze visual elements such as logos and email formatting to spot impersonation attempts. in the blink of an eye without, you know, waking you up in the middle of the night to do analysis of phishing, which is a problem for humans. And then another one is AI driven vulnerability patching. Now, AI can be programmed today to consider the unique context of an organization beyond the standard Common Vulnerability Scoring System, or CVSS. This can identify which assets are the most critical for an organization or a government agency or any other enterprise, and whether that vulnerability is being actively exploited in the wild. And most importantly, for policymakers, for business owners, is that AI can help identify or at least quantify or analyze the potential business impact of a successful attack. Now, AI can also help us predict which vulnerabilities are most likely to be weaponized by attackers, which could then allow security teams to proactively address the most significant threats or risks by analyzing historical data and threat intelligence within seconds. Additionally, AI can recommend the most effective remediation steps and even automate the creation of tickets and workflows. Therefore, they can help ensure that critical software patches are deployed efficiently. Another thing which you could see, you'll get to see this in action when you graduate, are automated incident response. That's SOAR, which is security orchestration and automation response. So what happens is that if you have augmented, your systems are augmented by AIs, your analyst teams are augmented by AI in a SOC or Security Operations Center, when a threat is detected, whether in an antivirus software or in a firewall log or intrusion detection system, an AI-driven SOAR or SOAR can automatically initiate a series of predefined actions. We call this in our industry a playbook. This could, involve, for example, isolating an infected endpoint or computer or a server or a laptop or a phone, isolate that device from the network, or block a malicious IP address, or enrich an alert by adding additional threat intelligence. We use tools like OpenCTI for samples like this. Now, if you have an AI augmented team, this can help your organization, your corporation, your enterprise, your government agency help dramatically reduce the time to contain a threat, thus minimize the potential damage of an attack. AI can help you coordinate action across a wide variety of security tools, from firewalls and endpoint detection and response systems to threat intelligence platform, therefore creating a more cohesive and effective defense against sophisticated attackers. The last example here is the use of AI to enhance analysts as they do network traffic analysis. So, AI can help using machine learning models to analyze the content of a network and its packets in near real time to identify malicious payloads, command and control communications, and other signs of attack. So, even without decrypting traffic, the payload or the data portion, just by looking at the HTTP headers, the IP headers, the TCP headers, decoding the SSL certificates, AI can analyze those metadata and traffic patterns and DNS requests to identify anomalies that may indicate malicious activity within encrypted channels. By analyzing traffic over time, AI can identify the subtle, low and slow patterns of activity that are characteristics of advanced persistent threats, which may go unnoticed if you're just using simple SIEM rules or you know, you using human eyeballs to look at network traffic. So, with all that said, AGI, it's not here yet. Not yet. And this is good for your generation because it means more work opportunities. Opportunities like network traffic annotation, wherein humans should analyze captures of network traffic, which are in PCAP files, and then label specific packets or flows as benign or harmless or malicious or command and control traffic or data exfiltration, or if it's just a simple scanning activity as a precursor to an actual attack. The output of network traffic annotation by humans will teach intrusion detection systems to spot attacks in real time. So that the humans can, of course, take vacations, go get married, you know, go to the toilet, be stuck in traffic without much impact on the on the work that's going on in the business. There's also log classifications where human analysts can should review, and label lines from like operating systems, firewalls, or application and server logs. Humans might tag log entries, as a regular or normal user login, or it could be a failed login attempt, or it could be symptoms or behavior of privilege escalation, or if the evidence is beyond reasonable doubt, malware execution. Thus, having a database to train an SIEM, or Security Information and Event Management System. Human analysts can also label malware that have been caught by AI, and humans can tag specific API calls or registry key changes as a persistent mechanism event, or file encryption event, or evidence of credential harvesting. Now, the output of those labeling will help train AI to recognize malicious software by behavior of the malware and not just signatures, like how it, like grepping, for example, or Yara rules. There's also code vulnerability annotation. So expert humans can review source code and label specific functions or lines of codes as, SQL vulnerabilities, SQL injection vulnerabilities, or susceptibility to buffer overflows, or maybe something that will enable cross-site scripting, or XSS. And then, of course, there's report generation. At the end of the day, it is not the AI that will sign off on a report and be liable if that AI makes a mistake. It's still the human that will write the report, generate the report, and modify or draft that report based on the intended audience, like auditors or the CEO or fellow analysts, and then sign off on that, and then be able to testify it as necessary as an expert witness in court. So humans can't, AI can do that, only the humans. Another very important thing that humans can do is not, we don't take for granted, is reinforcement learning from human feedback, RLHF. It's a very important loop in the maintenance. This is a very important process in the maintenance of an AI system. Because, for example, let's say the human analysts ask the AI, how should I respond to this alert? The existing AI might give several options, A, B, C, or D. Then the human analysts will then rank the responses based on their context, accuracy, safety for guardrails, and adherence to best practices. Thus, the feedback of the human will then guide the AI to give better security advice for the next time. Another role of humans that only humans do is conduct adversarial red teaming against AI models. So, in this process, in this engagement, human security experts will try to actively trick an AI system. This could include crafting prompts to bypass its safety filters or guardrails, to make that AI reveal sensitive information, or to trick that AI to generating malware instead. So that's another thing. And then, of course, the last example here is incident response. Humans, at the end of the day, they are the ones who write the playbook or the ideal step-by-step guide when responding to specific types of cyber attacks like ransomware attack, employee fraud, and so on and so forth. So the data here, the playbook here, is then used to fine-tune a large language model, for example, so it can later generate relevant and actionable incident response plan when an alert comes in later on in the near future. So now that you see what's going on, how do you get to be that human expert? Well, there are a lot of challenges that you, the human, and only you, the human, can address. This is because cybersecurity is a very complex game between, a cat and mice, or cats and mice, and the incentives there are for both parties are high, can be very high. So what that means, as humans, they're the only ones who can solve dynamic security issues. This include the fact or the axiom that defenders must secure every possible entry point to an organization, while an attacker only needs to find a single vulnerability to succeed. To put it in other words, I paraphrase what the ex Prime Minister of UK once said, who was Margaret Thatcher. She said, for terrorists to succeed, the government must be lucky all the time, but the terrorist only needs to be lucky once. This is because all of us are always under a constantly evolving threat landscape. And the consequences for us, defenders, can be severe. They can range from massive financial losses and reputational damage to the company, to the disruption of critical infrastructure for the government, and even threats to our own national security. Therefore, human cybersecurity professionals need a broad understanding of many IT concepts, from networks, operating systems, database, and so on and so forth, plus deep specialized knowledge within their chosen security domain. I'll get that. I'll get to that I'll expand that in a little while. Now, as undergraduate students, you need to realize or appreciate that AI is used for learning, not cheating. So, examples of AI use for your hyper localized training or personalized training, you can have an open source AI like Olama with Open Web UI, or I don't know, there are lots of open source LLM systems out there, or commercial tools like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Anthropic's Claude, or multiple else, right? Now, you can give it a prompt for your own personal ChatGPT or personal AI to inspect your source code and evaluate your local lab environment, so that the AI can give you hints of how to learn and solve problems without revealing full answers. Because that's how you learn. You solve problems and it gets embedded into your brain. And then, you know, You don't use AI for cheating. You use it as a local tutor. Another example is that you can have your own cyber rage using virtual machines, for example, like Proxmox, and then you can adjust exercise, hands-on laboratory exercises, the difficulty in real time based on each of your hands-on performance metrics. Like, for example, how fast do you compromise a target machine, or how do you use a tool? Do you prefer GUI based, or do you prefer command line, and so on and so forth? Another way AI can use for training, personal training, is have your AI collect fine-grained telemetry from your host machine, like command line history, um, biometric indicators on how you use the mouse, how you right click, or do you prefer typing, and then you, the student, can be assigned tasks or hands-on exercises at just the right difficulty at your own time, so that you, the student, will receive challenges that match to your current skills and local context. Right? That means basically no student left behind. Now, the fourth example is you can use machine learning language, or sorry, algorithms, so that the AI can evaluate the strength and weakness of each student and then generate interactive tabs. Like, depends, malware engineering, network analysis, and so on and so forth. Now, another thing that students of today should consider when looking at what you'll be in the next 3 years or 5 years after you graduate is you create your own character. Now, there are lots of different types of cybersecurity jobs and roles that are out there, but one of the best ways to quickly triage or guesstimate what you'll be good at versus what job is available are out there is to take a Myers-Briggs type indicator personality test, or MBTI. It's just a little disclaimer, the MBTI is not something that will define you or will say that you are that type of personality permanently, but for recruiters, for managers, for whatever, the results of the MBTI will help people fit your personality, your unique personality, to a job requirement. You match the person to the role that is required. Now, for example, if you take a test, and there are lots of free MBTI tests out there, you are classified as an ISTJ, which is introvert, sensing, thinking, judging, if I remember correctly. This means you could be a great analyst, wherein you are expected to monitor, detect, and respond to thousands of security alerts per day, and will require you to be meticulous when looking at logs and details. So, and you're expected to adhere to standard operating procedures and follow structured reporting, because your behavior as an introvert matches that job role. On another end of the scale, you could be like an ENTJ, extrovert. I forgot the N, but extroverts tend to be great managers because, for example, a CISO or Chief Information Security Officer, at the later parts of their career, after they've leveled up, they're like level 10 or 15, right? They could be expected to orchestrate the defense of an entire organization. But of course, you don't get to be a CISO without learning skills along the way, leveling up from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until like 10 or something like that, or 5. I'm just guessing out here. So check out the MBTI and ask the AI to match your MBTI personality to potential job roles out there. Now, prerequisites. Syempre, of course, when you're creating a character, there are prerequisite skills before you get to be a character class. In the cyber security and digital forensics field, what's needed are specialists or and leadership of roles with AI skills. Organizations, government agencies, they need specialists and leadership roles. And these are fulfilled by people who are expected to actually improve things and solve problems. You're not there as an AI linguist. I call them as AI linguists because they're the ones who can fake it until they fail their first technical job interview. Some of the technical skills are in this slide, and if this will give you a great hint, if you have no idea what I'm talking about in here, if all these acronyms mean nothing to you, then that means you're kind of useless right now in the real world. Therefore, use this opportunity to know what skills to learn so that you will be valuable when you graduate. You can command premium salary. Or, if you're that good, you can set up a business as a consultant to have people pay you for your time and experience. Okay. So, this is just a hint of the things to come. You should learn about deep learning, artificial intelligence, how adversarial machine learning defense works, what are large language model backdoors, and you have to go back to your algebra skills. You have to learn what DevOps are, what is threat modeling using MITRE Atlas, what are the security standards that are given by OWASP or the ISO IEC standards. And just in case you're given OSINT missions in the future or open source intelligence missions, you need to brush up on current events as well as geopolitics. The other skills, hardcore skills that you need are Python programming, Rust, HTML, and others on the same domain, and of course SQL. Hardware-wise, you should learn what x86, AMD 64, ARM or RISC-V CPU or architectures are, so that it talks about you need to learn about opcodes, and then of course TCP/IP networking, BGP routing, SS7, and Open RAN for wide area network or telecommunications protocols. Then we cannot emphasize this enough. You need to learn to do technical writing and have a good command or an excellent command of the English language. Optionally, learning Mandarin is very good too because it can help you decode advanced persistent threats. I say Mandarin because for the Philippines, that is one of our largest national security threats. From mainland China, communist China. Additionally, it is also very important to have communication, collaboration, and leadership skills. Otherwise, you'll be isolated all the time. And of course, at every step of the way, though you're still just an undergrad student, until you retire, you need to have critical and problem-solving acumen. You need that all the time. And then, of course, you need to brush up or be oriented with cybersecurity and data privacy laws and regulations simply because those laws and regulations are the main driving points why your business or the organization is actually buying all those expensive cybersecurity tools in the first place. With that said, thank you very much for your time. And Please forge your future very well. Know what path to take. Is it going to be you and AI, or is it going to be you versus AI? Happy hunting.